Okay, so today we are going deep, really deep,
Deep dive time.
exactly, into the Emancipation Proclamation.
Oh, this is a big one.
Yeah, and we've got these, like, incredible discussion materials to work with here. I mean, way beyond just the surface level stuff.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Total, like, not just what it did, but, like, the whole story behind it. The why, the when, the how.
Right, like all the drama. And there is a lot of drama.
Absolutely, so much.
Lincoln's wrestling with this decision. That's what gets me.
Oh, yeah.
The weight of it all. We're talking about like the fate of the war hanging in the balance, his own personal struggles.
And we've even got a super rare copy of the proclamation itself with its own, like, whole crazy story.
Oh yeah, that's coming up later.
Okay, so first, like, let's set the scene. It's 1863.
Second year of the Civil War.
Right, and things are not going great for the Union.
Nope, not at all.
So, like, what's going on in Lincoln's head at this point?
Oh man, so much. Like, first off, he's wrestling with this huge question. Does he even have the power?
To just free enslaved people.
Yeah, like as president, can he actually do that? It was totally uncharted territory.
No one had really, like, tried that before.
Exactly. And then there's the fallout to consider. I mean, what happens if he does it? Does it tear the country further apart?
It's, like, such a massive gamble.
Oh, absolutely. Not just for him personally, but for like the whole future of the country.
So this is where it gets really interesting, right?
Yeah.
So the Emancipation Proclamation, it drops January 1st, 1863, and it's not just a blanket statement.
Right. It's super specific.
Yeah, it only applies to enslaved people in Confederate states.
Right. That wording, that's crucial.
Why?
Because it lets Lincoln frame this whole thing as a military necessity.
And as commander-in-chief, he's got the power to do that.
Boom. Legal genius right there.
Okay, so it's, like, strategic too, not just, like, the legal side of it.
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. By focusing just on the Confederate states, he avoids, like, totally alienating the border states.
The ones that, like, allowed slavery but hadn't joined the Confederacy.
Exactly. Keeps them from flipping sides, potentially.
Oh, I see. And then there's the enslaved people in the South.
Right. Now they become potential allies, encourages them to escape, maybe join the Union Army.
That is such a good point. I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, it's a pretty brilliant move when you think about it.
I mean, but this guy's walking a tightrope. Right?
Totally.
Border states on one side, then you've got, like, public opinion in the North to worry about.
Not to mention re-election coming up in '64.
Yeah, like, how's this going to play with the voters?
Right, because public opinion was pretty divided, you know? Some folks just wanted to save the Union, whatever it took.
And others were like, this war is about ending slavery, period.
Yeah, and Lincoln has to, like, balance all that while making this massive decision.
There's a quote in here from Lincoln himself.
Oh.
I never in my life felt more certain that I was doing right than I do in signing this paper.
Wow, that's powerful.
I know, right?
You can just feel, like, the weight of that decision and his conviction.
Yeah. Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. We got to talk about this specific copy of the Emancipation Proclamation.
Oh, yeah, the Leland Boker edition.
Right, one of them.
So these were, they were special copies signed by Lincoln himself.
I mean, that makes them, like, instantly valuable.
Yeah, big time. And these guys, Leland and Boker, they were businessmen, and they commissioned these editions to, like, raise money for the war.
Ah, okay, so that's where the Philadelphia connection comes in.
Exactly. One of these signed copies, it ended up being sold at this huge event.
The Great Central Sanitary Fair.
That's the one, 1864, right here in Philly.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine, like, this bustling fair, people everywhere, all wanting to support the troops?
And these, like, rare documents are being auctioned off.
Yeah, and all the money raised, it went to, like, medical care for wounded soldiers.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
So this specific copy, it's not just the proclamation itself, it's like a symbol of the public's commitment to the whole war effort.
Yeah, I see that. It's like a piece of that moment in history.
Exactly. A reminder of the sacrifices, the hope, and considering there are only like half of these signed copies left.
It's a pretty big deal.
It's a treasure.
So to, like, sum it all up, the Emancipation Proclamation, this was more than just, a piece of paper.
Oh, way more. Turning point in the war, both strategically and morally.
And it shows us, like, Lincoln at his best.
Right. I mean, the way he navigated all this, the political stuff, the moral questions,
Yeah.
incredible.
One of the most, like, challenging times in American history, for sure.
Absolutely. And it leaves us with, like, this really interesting question.
Okay, hit me.
Was the Emancipation Proclamation ultimately more about pragmatism?
Like winning the war no matter what.
Yeah. Or was it like pure idealism?
Like this moral imperative to end slavery.
That's the question, isn't it? Makes you think about like all the forces at play and how complex this document really is.
Yeah. Really makes you want to, like, dive in even deeper.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for having me.